It is officially the 2-minute warning of the Lions versus the Giants, I guess. Not too giant today, though. Sorry about that, Saquon Barkley. Welcome aboard, Choo Choo. I believe the bandwagon's starting to fill up. Welcome aboard, everybody. Nice to have you. Wish we could have had you at the beginning of the season, but you know what? All's welcome now. You're forgiven of your sins for not believing in Dan Campbell, for not believing in Jared Goff, for not believing in Swaggy, for not believing that Aiden Hutchinson was the right pick at number 2, for not believing that Kirby Joseph is him. What else can you say? A 3-game winning streak for the first time since 2017. Thank you very much. 2 back-to-back wins on the road in inclement weather, outdoors. You got to appreciate that. Taking down a 7-2 team with, this rookie head coach has this team playing better than Dan Campbell's team. Why is a rookie head coach in here with a better record or 7-2? Dan Campbell can't win like he does. No, well, Dan Campbell saw him, sized him up, weighed him up, punched him right in the face, took his kneecaps.
That's right. I don't hear anybody calling for any coaching jobs right now. The bandwagon, as you said, is absolutely full. We get our 4th win, our 3rd in a row, 2 on the road. Really, you can't ask for anything more. I mean, we talked about this last week. We thought we were going to get a W today, Stick.
I mean, we thought... We can check the tape. That's the one thing I love about woodwardsports.com is it's not only about, us just saying something and it disappears into the radio atmosphere. No, it's on tape, baby.
Forever.
It's on tape. And you can check the pregame from this morning, too, when I said they just need to attack, put New York down early, and let it be Danny Dimes' show. I love the fact that the Lions did not deviate from the defensive playbook. Even though at times they were giving up runs to Daniel Jones. They were giving up those over-the-middle passes and the little outs and, the reverses and stuff like that. But it didn't matter because you neutralized the dude. Saquon Barkley, what did he end up with, Anson?
Not much,
Not a whole hell of a lot,
Not much.
baby.
He had 15 carries for a whopping 22 yards, man. He only caught 2 balls for 13. When you hold the number 1 running back in the NFL to 35 total yards, that is a prescription for a win. But the big thing for me today is as great as the defense was in terms of stopping the run, we got we got 3 turnovers that we forced today. It just felt weird. I couldn't believe it.
Aiden Hutchinson was responsible for getting 2 of those.
That
interception changed the game because early on it felt like the Lions took that field goal and then the Giants took it down, scored their touchdown. They missed their extra point. So the Lions were only up 6-3 at that point. And the Giants had the ball again. It looked like the Lions were going to go down double digits. Aiden Hutchinson dropping back in coverage, catching the ball. Remember J.J. Watt? Remember him? He was infamous for catching the ball out of the jugs machine when they did Hard Knocks with the Texans. It looked exactly like Aiden Hutchinson reaching up with those monster paws. He may have short arms, but he got them big hands, baby.
And, it's the first time ever that a rookie defensive lineman has ever had 2 picks. It's just something you don't see out of defensive linemen a whole lot. It's really an ability that a cerebral defensive lineman is able to make, to be able to drop into coverage, to, like when we did against the Bears, that interception that he forced, even though he didn't actually make the interception.
Right, with Okuda.
Yeah, just his ability to read plays and not be a constant rush threat, but to be more than that, really speaks to the future of what this kid can be, man. He's exciting. He looks like a young J.J. Watt at this point. I guess my question for you at this point with Hutch is, what does it take for him to be considered the Defensive Rookie of the Year at this point?
I think he secured it today.
Secured it
today. I mean, Sauce Gardner's in the mix.
He's real saucy.
Sauce is in the mix. But a rookie defensive lineman to have 2 interceptions like that, plus he's got his 5.5 sacks or whatever, plus he got the fumble recovery today. I mean, he put himself at least in the 1-2 conversation today because of that interception.
Yeah, he's certainly top 3 at worst. And if he can reach that double-digit sack count, maybe even get a couple more turnovers here, it's going to be really hard to vote against him or for anybody else. And again, you led the show off with it. You got to be silencing all of those critics at this point, asking why we took him at 2. You got your answer. You've been getting it a lot lately, too.
Yeah, you got to be happy with his evolution, with how the game's slowing down to him, and how he's really outsmarting a lot of these quarterbacks. Yes. Outsmarting the great Aaron Rodgers and getting an interception on the goal line. Outsmarting, Vanilla Vic today and getting that interception. Plus being Johnny on the spot when it came to that fumble recovery. If you were looking, both the Giants and Aiden Hutchinson had pretty much the same amount of space to get that ball, but the will, the desire, the nonstop motor, he got it. And the best part is, all we've done so far is talk about the Lions defense. We haven't even talked about Jamal Williams and his 3 touchdowns on the day, 12 on the season, leading the NFL. And nobody even misses DeAndre Swift at this point. And even DeAndre Swift got some cake at the end.
That's right. And honestly, I don't want to transition from the defense quite yet. I want to talk about the last 3 quarterbacks that we beat, because one of them has owned us in Aaron Rodgers. All right. Then we face off against 2 young quarterbacks that the whole league is talking about. Danny Dimes, Vanilla Vic has finally taken that next step in his progression. Justin Fields has just came out of nowhere and finally become the quarterback that he was supposed to be and when he was drafted. But the Lions didn't care. And this is normally a situation where the Lions, they get that Matt Flynn reach around, man. They make quarterbacks, but instead they broke quarterbacks for 3 straight weeks. And next week, we got what is considered, arguably the best quarterback in the league right now, and Mr. Allen coming to Detroit.
Staying in Detroit.
Can we? Yeah, no doubt he is staying in Detroit. Can we run 4 in a row? Is our defense at the point right now where we can go out and hold the Bills to a level of scoring where our offense can beat them?
Here's the deal. With a young team and a young team that starts to believe in themselves, anything is possible. Because they don't know no better, right?
Yes.
They're young.
Yes.
They don't know. They're just on a roll right now. They're feeling themselves. So
and they got grit, baby.
They got grit. And Aleem McNeil, holy hell, the game of his life today. I mean, what do you have? 1 sack, 7 pressures.
I barely knew the guy's name coming into today.
But there you go. Another Brad Holmes guy paying off. Granted, it hasn't been consistent, but at least you're showing, okay, that's why they drafted that guy. Yep. That's why Aleem McNeil is still on this roster.
Yep.
A second, third round pick that is actually showing up. And it's just feeling good all the way around. I can't imagine what it feels like in that locker room right now.
I bet.
And that's another thing we talked about during the pregame show is just how young this team is, right? And that was the question. Would you rather these guys go and lose in the wild card or fight for that, top 5 pick? And it's like, to me, with a young team, you want to go for that wild card because you want these young guys to experience wins and you want them to experience losses in some capacity, right? And
sure.
I equated it back to the Pistons with Blake Griffin. Those teams, they were getting knocked out in the first round, no potential ever. If this Pistons team goes, it's like, okay, Ivy got his taste, Cunningham got his taste, hopefully he plays the rest of the season. They're starting to grow. So as long as the Lions keep getting this exposure to winning, and these young guys are looking around like, we did that.
Yeah.
Kirby Joseph, I did that. Daniel Jones hadn't thrown an interception in 157 passes.
Sure.
Aiden Hutchinson did that.
And how many years have we seen these young guys get to Thanksgiving and the Lions are just out of it? So I want to kind of add on what you're saying there. When you think about, as exciting as it would be to make the playoffs, I don't see this team as a playoff team still. The Cowboys, they're right on the edge,
today.
and they got that
Don't rain
tiebreaker.
on my parade today, Anson.
But this is what's more important. The second half, playing not just to get a couple wins on the board, but playing meaningful football. That's not only important for the experience and growth of these young players, and hey, let's say they make the playoffs too, that's huge experience, but we have all of this cap space and room to bring in some major free agents this offseason, and who the hell is going to want to come to Detroit if we're limping into the next season with 2 or 3 wins? We're far and away better than we were last year at this point. We got 4 wins already, and we're barely halfway we're halfway through the season exactly at this point.
A 3-game winning streak is just what's crazy to me, because let's face it, when the Lions had 1 win, and 6 losses, everybody kind of wrote him off. It was, okay, let's fire everybody. Sheila doesn't know what she's doing. Dan Campbell's a clown. Like, Adam wrote an article that he should be working at McDonald's. But we've seen a more reserved Dan Campbell. We saw it today. It was at one point we were like, are they going to go for this? Okay, they're not. All right. Yeah. He learned his lesson. And taking those 3 points early.
Yep.
That's why you do it. You give your team confidence. You get them in the game, and you keep them in the game. Because all of a sudden they miss an extra point. Now you're only a field goal down, even though you let up a touchdown. Like, there's just so many little things that I think he was overthinking, that I got to make up for my talent by being aggressive, when the thought process should have been, I got to protect my talent by being conservative. Because they didn't have the talent to make up for those bad decisions.
I really would love to kind of replay those games in those fourth down moments and see what the outcome would have been in some of those contests. But you hit it on the nail on the head, man. I got this right here. Great coaching today. The opening drive, we're faced with a 4th and a yard and a half. That's 4th down territory for this team. You know, that's where they go for it.
Dude,
they did
for it on his own side.
I know, right? But they didn't. Like you said, they kicked the field goal. They open up with points. They take the lead. Set the tone. No 4th down attempts at all. That's the first time all season long. And as you mentioned, the one time he comes out, we're like, what are they doing? We're talking about the win and everything. Really, they were just looking to draw the New York defense offsides, gain that extra 5 yards, and look at it, you know, what I guess would have been about a 45-yard field goal, except for instead of a 50-plus. Also ran our first QB sneak, which you and I have been screaming for all season. I saw one mistake on him all day long, and it was rejecting the holding penalty, I believe in the second quarter, that would have put them at 2nd and 19, and instead he declined it. That put them at 3rd and 7, and they ended up getting like a 16-yard play. Would have been 3rd and 3, so really kind of worked out the same. I would have played that differently, but this is the cleanest game we've seen this coaching staff put down. Period.
And that was part of it. Well, like, you knew you were witnessing Dan Campbell learning on the job. Have we seen him turn the corner? And that's what we've all been waiting for, because once again, it's all on tape. You can go through all the post games from last season, me freaking out about 4th down calls. And then the beginning of this season, how much was I in here just freaking the hell out about 4th down calls?
Every 4th down I'm watching it when I'm not with you, I'm just like, oh man, he's losing his mind. You know, Stick's losing his mind.
Stick's throwing a chair through a window somewhere because this idiot hasn't learned yet. But he finally, he's getting it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's clicking. And not only is it clicking, he's got the team on board. They're still not quitting. Yes. They're still all about, like, the swag. They're all about the grit. And that's amazing to me, because even after their 1-win start, he hadn't lost the locker room. And that is so tough to do with these grown-ass men, and to convince them to come to work every day and put their bodies on the line.
And especially for a Lions team, because you can be pretty much any other team in the league, and if you're in this situation, you still have faith because you're the Patriots or you're the Vikings or whoever. But the Lions, there's just been such a losing culture for so damn long that you can't help but let it seek into your, I don't know what the word is, but it gets into your subconscious. And no matter what you do, it's inescapable, because it's in the media, it's your neighbors are talking about it. Everybody's talking about SOL and just this losing culture here. But Dan Campbell did not lose him, as you said. And I'll tell you what, 3 wins is turning a corner, in my opinion.
I mean, it's tying the win total of last year in 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Think about it in that perspective.
It's awesome.
And how many games do we have left? Plenty. Yep. You know, they could win another 3 or 4 or 5.
Yep.
Like, an 8-win team isn't out of reach now,
no,
which
not
is
at
crazy.
And looking at our schedule for these next 8 games, which we'll pull up towards the end of the show and talk about, those I can easily see them splitting those, going 4-4. And if that's the case, that means that we finish the season at 7-4 run. I mean, getting ahead of myself here, but this is a tough game to win on the road. You got a first-place team that, is one of the most blitzing teams in the league. It is the most blitzing team in the league. We didn't allow a sack. Do we have the best offensive line in the game right now?
That was our strength, right? You knew that coming into the season, and me and Maz go back and forth on this all the time because he still believes that Penei Sewell was the wrong pick. Should have gotten Micah Parsons, which is fine. In theory, you can have that theory. Micah Parsons is a hell of a player. I will never take that away from him. They're both amazing. But if you draft Micah Parsons, you're not establishing any identity, right? And his argument is that the offensive line was already good enough. You didn't need to go get a Penei Sewell.
Yeah, well, now it's great.
And that's the thing. That's what I said. You're going to deal with injuries. Now, not only do you have a great offensive line, you have depth where a Ragnow can go down, a Jackson can move over, a Decker can go down, a Penei will move over, a Penei will go down. We have an identity as a team, I think, for the first time ever, that it's going to be, all right, when it's 4th and 1, we're going to punch you in the mouth, hand it to Swaggy, stop us. And they couldn't do it today. And when you were watching the push of that offensive line, and Penei Sewell had a couple screw-ups today, but there were a couple times he put guys in the air.
Yeah.
And did you see that one play when Penei Sewell was lined up as a wide receiver?
Yeah. Amazing.
I love it, but that's the creativity that Ben Johnson's bringing. We haven't brought his name up in a while because the offense hasn't been top number 1 in the league.
Yep.
But what a great game plan today. They executed it to perfection. You did what the Giants wanted to do to you to them. Like, they wanted Saquon to have 3 touchdowns in a Swaggy-type performance. They just couldn't get it done.
Well, and the Rams lost today. And I want to talk about Matt the Slab Stafford, because he was a slab while he was here. He was on his back game after game, season after season, and we have the 4th least sacks allowed this year. That's crazy. Didn't allow any more today. You look at the other 3 teams that are ahead of us, the Chargers, the Bucs, and the Cowboys. All 3 of them have fantastic run games. So we're at the very least, in my opinion, a top 4 offensive line. And what that really does is what you said, what you're speaking to on why we drafted him or Sewell over Parsons, creating this identity. And the offense has been strong this year. We've had a couple of inconsistent games, but they have really come on. We know that we can lean on the run game. We know that on 3rd down we can have some time. We were 6 of 12 on 3rd down conversions today, Stick. When has the Lions team done that?
I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
I'll take it. And we got to say what's up to everybody in the woodwardsports.com chat. A lot of new people today. And when the Lions win, all the fans come out. We appreciate you. Tomorrow morning, make sure you're watching Adam and Jeff. We're going to be live from Feldman in Novi. So make sure you guys tune in 11 to 1. Also Big D Energy. And then you got 2 to 4 with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, and Maz. And then, of course, the heavyweights. So thank you guys for checking out woodwardsports.com. If you're new to the chat, drop your name. Let's do the old ASL egg section location. Where you at? Where you watching? Where you a Lions fan at? Because this is a time we haven't had this in 5 years.
That's right.
Well, Lions fans haven't enjoyed a 3-game winning streak in 5 years.
5 years. Wow. Well, while you're on the site, make sure you check out the apparel. Because my man in the booth there, you are looking good today, Stick.
Yeah, we matched. We did not plan this.
We did not plan this.
These are the varsity hoodies that are in there right now. But yeah, enough Hawkins stuff. Let's talk about the Lions. And you didn't really want to switch over to the offensive side of the ball because the defense. Who had a better game, Aiden Hutchinson or Jamal Williams?
I'd have to say Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
Because as great as Jamal was getting 3 touchdowns today, being one of 3 Lions in history to have 11 or more in a season, most of them came from pretty short out. He ended up having a very strong game. He had 64 yards rushing, but he only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. In fact, it was Justin Jackson today that looked really good with the ball in his hands. Hutchinson changed the game at such crucial moments. Like you said, we thought we might be going down double digits, and instead we're going up. And then in the 4th quarter, when we really need a stop, and we actually, you and I were talking about it, that second missed extra point made a 12-point deficit, which is really kind of a tough thing for the Giants to come back.
That was a big missed point. We discussed that too when we were watching the game.
Yeah,
like the difference between an 11-point game and a 12-point game, and I know I'm not breaking any news to anybody, but a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and a field goal is a lot easier to get than 2 touchdowns in the NFL.
Yeah,
and so you kept the pressure off. Like the Lions just kept them like this. They were Heisman them.
They didn't just keep the pressure off. because the pressure would have been on because they did march down the field and score a touchdown. And then, let's say they get a stop or an onside and it's what, a 5-point game? But instead of just taking the pressure off, we are putting the pressure on a little bit. We widened that margin and basically said, you've lost this game with 6-7 minutes left still. It's over, And that is something that we haven't seen from this Lions team all season long. We've seen them get up. We've seen them blow leads to Washington, to the Vikings. Not today, son. Not today. I mean, that was the biggest part of the evolution and maturation for this Lions team that I saw, was in a point where, we could have let them kind of get back into it and be in a spot where they could have kicked a field goal and lost by 2, or maybe, scored and won by 2. Instead, we just don't even give them a shot. We took their breath away, stepping on their necks, eating those kneecaps, baby. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I love everybody checking in on woodwardsports.com right now. We got Interlochen, Michigan, Green Bay fans, Ann Arbor, San Diego, L.A., North Carolina, Grand Rapids, Illinois, so all over the country. Lions fans are everywhere, and it's time to show out. Like, it's time to, go into your closet, pull out that jacket you've been, kind of afraid to wear around the office because you're just going to catch hell every time you do it. No matter where you are, put it on and do it with pride now, because this is a total strip down of a team 2-3 years ago that was going absolutely nowhere.
Sure. And the MO of the Lions has been mistake-ridden football for a long, long time. I mean, so long. And everyone was talking about it in the media before today's game, that this was going to be a game of the least mistakes. The team that would make the least mistakes would win. We came out, we had 5 penalties for 45 yards. They had 8 for 63. 0 turnovers, 0 sacks. They gave up 3 turnovers, man. We forced 3 turnovers out of them. I want to see how many sacks we had. We only got to the quarterback twice today. But 5 tackles for loss.
But there are a lot of pressures in there. It wasn't just about that. And with Daniel Jones, it's, he's a mobile quarterback. It's just like last week with Justin Fields. It's not all about the sacks. It's about making him uncomfortable in the pocket and forcing him to move around. Because if you over pursue a guy like that, you're going to give up big plays. They gave up a bunch of little 10-yard, 8-yard runs to Daniel Jones, but they didn't give up that 60-yard Justin Fields type run that Daniel Jones is capable of doing. And that was really a big part of the game. And I don't think they minded doing that, like getting caught on a couple of RPOs, because you're shutting down Saquon.
Yep.
As long as you shut down Saquon, let Daniel Jones get those little 8-yard carries. That's not sustainable. That's not how they're going to be able to win a game.
Yeah, 89 yards total rushing for the team. But again, do you recall one mistake that the Lions made today?
I mean, a couple penalties here and there. Jared Goff almost threw an interception, but it was dropped, which is fine. That happens in the NFL. That's why those guys play defense, and they're not wide receivers. No, I mean, there were very few mistakes. Kabinda is probably the only one, if I have to point to somebody who made a mistake. Twice he dropped passes that could have been big chunk plays, especially coming out in the second half when you already have the lead. It was a great play call by Ben Johnson. Nobody thinks you're throwing it to Kabinda, and dude just drops it. And I was a little bit worried there at that point too, because then you immediately turn the ball back over to New York. You're supposed to take that first possession and shove it down their throat, add a little bit to the lead. Wasn't able to do that. But like I said, the beauty of the Lions today is they stayed the course. They didn't change their defensive strategy, even though they realized there were some areas that were going to break, but they didn't completely shut down. So I'm just happy with what they did and how they achieved this victory today.
Yep. Scored in all 4 quarters.
Love it.
Had some miscues, but not mistakes.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between miscues and mistakes, and it's usually the difference between a win and a loss. And like you said, we stayed the course from start to finish. No 4th down attempts, no turnovers. I'm blown away. We forced 4 punts, which might be a season high. I'd have to check. But when you include the 3 turnovers, that's like 7 punts basically. It's just a huge thing for me. Badgley came out. He was 5 for 5 on his kicks. There was a couple interesting moments that I thought at one point at the end of the first half, they brought him in to kick off instead of your boy Jack Fox. And what they did was, because there was the penalty that gave us an even deeper spot to kick, we actually wanted them to return the ball. So Badgley comes in and just sends this skyrocket up there that they had to return, and they only got to about the 15-yard line. I do want to ask you, though, do you recall the second to last play with 6 seconds left in the first half where we rushed no one?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's better than what Caldwell did against one time against Aaron Rodgers. Whatever. I mean, you're not putting any pressure on Daniel Jones. They know it's a drop back, Hail Mary.
Yep.
They took away the edges. They took away the deep pass, and it worked.
Yep.
So the fact that it worked, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to sit here and burn any bridge. But I liked how they did that, and then on the next play, they sent 5. Then 3 down linemen, and they blitzed, too. So, if you're going to play those games, mentally switch it up so the coaches don't know what's coming. And I love that the defensive coordinator called that.
I thought it was interesting today because we worried about his ability to run, Daniel, dimes. And
Vanilla Vic, get it right.
Vanilla Vic, I do prefer that.
It's still a great nickname. Even though he sucked today, Vanilla Vic is a great nickname.
But we really challenged him to beat us with his legs. Or, excuse me, we gave that to him over Saquon. And we pushed him to have to use his arm because they couldn't run the ball. He had 341 yards, but at a 74% QB rating, that's just not going to win a ball game. 2 picks. I'm really proud of the Lions today, Sam. I really am, man.
How do you not be, man? You got to be feeling good.
Yep.
You got a game coming up on Thanksgiving. The Bills played pretty well today against Cleveland. They did let up some points, so the Lions will be able to put up some points. Lions came out of this game relatively injury-free. You saw Jeff Okudah get taken out. You wonder about the concussion protocol with him.
4-day turnaround is going to be tough.
That's going to be tough. But that's probably the only main injury that came out of today's game. So you love that going into the game healthy. I mean, the Lions have a chance to string 4 together. Yep. They really do. It's not saying the Bills are a struggling team, because to me they're still one of the best in the entire NFL. But you have a chance now. You got a team that believes. You got a team that's returning home. You got a team that knows they get 10 days off afterwards. Put it all on the field, and they're going to be flying around the football at Ford Field on Thursday.
It's going to be very, very interesting. It's been a while since we were in it at Thanksgiving. We're usually out by this point, but you and I talked a little bit about it before the show. I really like our chances because of some strange circumstances. Buffalo Stadium is just completely covered in snow right now. Their meetings and practices have been over Zoom.
And that's important.
It is. And then you've got a bum elbow on Allen, and Josh looked inaccurate today. They beat Cleveland, one of the worst teams in the league right now, by 1 score. And that's not something that you expect. Now, I know they're not technically at home. It was a home game for them in Detroit. But do those guys even get to go home to Buffalo? Do they stay in Detroit for the next 4 days? I would imagine that would be their best plan, because then they could probably get some actual practice and some field time in person instead of online. But if they go back home and then have to fly back here, I really love what that does to them as a team. You really will feel that home field advantage, not only because of that, but because we're coming home with a 3-game winning streak. Ford Field is going to be loud.
It's going to be rocking, man.
Real loud.
It's going to be crazy at Ford Field. And then you look at what Jacoby Brissett did to their defense today. 324 yards, 3 TDs, 7 rushes for 29 yards.
Hey.
Jared Goff could do every bit of that. Every bit of that.
I got a question for you. Why can't Jared Goff lead this team to a Super Bowl when we have a few more pieces?
Who said he couldn't? Who's the idiot who said he couldn't?
Not me.
I know a lot of idiots here that said he couldn't.
Yeah, everybody wanted to blow our top draft picks. Well, we might have a higher pick from the Rams, to be quite honest. But regardless of where these picks fall in the first round, I don't want to take a quarterback. Do you?
No.
Not at all.
No. Why? Jared Goff is not the greatest quarterback in the NFL. I think we're all self-aware of what he is.
Sure.
But Jared Goff is not the problem. I was on Ermanni and Edwards this week with Braylon and Maz, and we got into a huge debate. You can go back and watch it on woodwardsports.com. Because it came out, Sports Illustrated said our biggest need for the Lions in the offseason is a quarterback. It makes no logical sense, because even Maz admitted Goff is a top 15 quarterback, right? And that's not, I'm not trying to sugarcoat
He's
it.
right at about that, you know?
He's right in that range, right?
12 to 16,
and
I'd
you
say
have
all
a
day.
bottom 30 defense. Mm-hmm. Why would you replace a top 15 when you have a bottom 30 to go after?
Thank you.
It makes no sense to me. Can he get to a Super Bowl? Yeah, I've seen it with my own eyes. It's happened. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to pull the Todd Gurley card, that's fine. I don't care. He got a team to a Super Bowl. Does he need all the right pieces around him? You're damn right he does. Of course he does. And it's the same damn thing we said about Matthew Stafford, too. If he only had the running game, if he only had the line, if he only had a defense, if he only had the offensive coordinator, if he only had a wide receiver. We heard all the same excuses for Matthew Stafford, and you saw when Stafford went to L.A. and they put the right pieces around him, he was serviceable. Stafford didn't make that team last year. He was a part of that team, a good part of that team.
Sure.
But having Odell Beckham helps. Having Cooper Kupp helps. Having that defense that they had last year helps.
Aaron Donald.
An offensive line. Now they don't have that this year. Look at how effective is Matthew Stafford without a good offensive line. About as effective as Jared Goff without an offensive line.
He was on his ass again today because he went out with a concussion. So, I mean, they're going down while we're going up. And I got a question for everybody from 3 weeks ago. What's our record without Hawkinson?
Oh.
What is it? Tell me.
I think 3-0.
That's right, baby. That's right. We didn't need him, man. We got some pieces for him. I just love the direction of this team right now, this franchise. You know, Holmes bringing the talent through the draft. Campbell growing and maturing and bringing the rest of the team with him. We got all kinds of ammo for next year.
And you haven't even seen Jamison Williams take the field
No,
yet. And
we haven't seen one piece of the trade that sent the foundation of this franchise for the last decade. We
Yep.
haven't seen 1 minute played from that trade, and we're going to get so much of it so soon.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? You and I have talked about not bringing Jamison Williams back.
Now you do.
Well, we were pretty resolute on that up until this 3-game win streak at this point.
Because you don't want to bring them back for meaningless games.
Exactly.
Now these games mean something.
Man.
Even if the Lions don't even come close to making the playoffs, these games now mean something. They're a competitive football team in the NFL.
Yeah. And what DJ Chark was supposed to do for this team,
Yeah, where was he today?
Jamison is going to take the lid off of defenses, man.
We hope, right? You hope that. And
Absolutely.
We haven't been able to see him in practice. He hasn't been able to see. He hasn't seen live game action. So I'm not going to get crazy excited. But
we've changed our stance.
look at Chris Olave today. Another great game. Garrett Wilson, not so great today, but overall great season so
Drake
far.
London,
Drake
another
London, another
touchdown.
touchdown today. And those guys were all projected to be lower than Jamison Williams when he came out.
Man, there's a stud season for the wide receiver class, man. It's pretty impressive group of wide receivers that came out this year, and I'm hoping that he's one of them. You know, a lot of people said that he had the highest ceiling out of everybody, and if we can add that to this offense, as cool as it would be to see at the end of this season, man, what it does for us next year. That itself makes Jared Goff a better player without adding any other offensive players, which in my opinion, we literally should enter that draft taking every single defender that we like at every single pick that we have, and we have a lot.
I just look at our offense, and I don't think you have a need to add anywhere.
Anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't mind maybe a tight end, sign a decent tight end that's...
With the offense that they run, though, it's very apparent. Right. You had a premier tight end that can do all those things.
And we didn't use him.
And he's getting his usage in Minnesota, but that's clearly not a part of Ben Johnson's play calling. So,
you're absolutely right.
Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of takes the place of your tight end. He's the guy that's getting those short routes. He's the guy that's getting your cross routes, your seam routes, and stuff like that. So... as much as I do love the tight end, we love Travis Kelce, we love Mandrews, we love George Kittle, it's just not a part of what Ben Johnson does.
Yeah. We heard some comments out of Hawkinson when he left town. He clearly was not a patriotic Detroiter. So with the addition by subtraction that we've seen with this 3-game winning streak since his exit, I'm curious, was there more to this than just getting better draft capital? Was there maybe some locker room stuff that we got rid of him for? Because this team's looking real cohesive right now.
You talk about Aubrey Pleasant?
No, I'm talking about getting rid of Hawkinson.
Oh.
You know?
I just think it was like, hey, this guy wants top 5 money. We ain't going to pay him top 5 money. So he's either going to walk or we're going to have to pay $15 million. So not only did they get out of paying $15 million, they got some draft capital for it, and everybody wins.
Yeah. Well, now, I mean, he still had another year that we would have been able to keep him before we had to pay that.
Yeah, but you still got to pay him.
Well, sure, or just lose him. But my big question is was there more to this? Was maybe this guy a little bit of a, maybe not so much a cancer, but somebody that just didn't fit in this locker room, that wasn't taking the losses the right way and keeping that toughness, that grit that we've been talking about, that has not escaped this team like it has in prior Detroit Lions teams. This guy, this coach has been able to keep them mentally engaged all season. I'm wondering if maybe that was why they gave him his exit, because I also love the capital that we got in it, but our team is on a three-game win streak, addition by subtraction, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm a results-oriented guy, so the results are what they are. They're 3-0 without T.J. Hawkinson. Whether he was what you say in the locker room, I don't know. I don't have privy to that information. I just know that the team has played better without him. But I think a lot of that is also on the defensive side of the ball, which I don't think he had much control over. So the Lions just look good all the way around. I mean, I know I joke about Jack Fox being the best player on the Lions team, but there were several times today the Lions were at the 15-yard line and his punt went all the way to their 25.
Unbelievable.
Like that type of field position, and then pinning them inside the 10 a couple times. Like, that's football.
Yep.
The Lions are playing strategic, real football of field position, pressure, using their players in the right way. So it's pretty amazing.
It really is. The season's not over at Thanksgiving, man. I love it. It's crazy. I am worried about the Okuda deal.
From the WoodwardSports.com chat, imagine if we had K9 on the team. I know you love that as a Spartan.
Yeah, he'd look pretty good out there right now. But at the same point, we ran all over him. What do we need him for right now?
Skull 970. I find the irrational optimism of a Lions fan fascinating. What's irrational about celebrating a 3-game winning streak?
We knew that this team wasn't going to be great this year. We knew this team wasn't a playoff team this year. We're talking about progress. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about progress.
Right. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for them to continually take the next step. Now, next year, if we're sitting here happy about 4 wins out of 10, no. I think it's a different ballgame. But this year, from where they were to where they are in such a short amount of time, that's a massive turnaround, and you're seeing it with the fans. You're seeing it with how many viewers are watching because they're interested in the Lions. When the Lions win, the network goes crazy, and that's the one thing I've said about Woodward Sports, that the only thing this network's missing is a winning team in this damn market. We started at the lowest of low when all teams were
It's only up from here, brother.
And it's going to be crazy when the Red Wings, they started out the season hot, kind of tickled off, but the Pistons are coming along, the Lions, but the Lions are everything. And if the Lions turn into a winner, and I'm not talking about a champion, I'm just talking about a winner at this. Get me back to the Jim Caldwell days, where 9-7 is our floor.
Yeah,
it's going to be a completely different ballgame.
We're looking at the mentality of this team and the fact that it hasn't been lost and that they're confident. They're going out and they're winning games now. I'm hearing this guy in the chat saying this stuff, and I'm wondering, when are the fans going to catch up? Because you and me, we got some Kool-Aid in our veins,
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, though.
I'm wondering if our guy in the chat understands how much draft capital and how much salary space we have next year, and we actually have a guy who understands how to pick players from the college level and turn them into pros that contribute. And we haven't seen that. And additionally, we've never seen this much draft capital outside of the year that we traded Roy Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. We have a tremendous amount of picks coming in. You cannot lose focus on how much this new regime has changed the trajectory of this team. I know it didn't seem like that last year. It didn't seem like that at the beginning of this year. But if you understand where this team sits beyond just scores on the football field, you have to understand how exciting the future is for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and I think everybody's starting to buy in. Like even the haters, even the Adam Baydoons of the world, the Adam Baydooms.
Yeah, he's gonna have to keep his mouth shut this week, man. It's all positive tomorrow for him.
And to Adam's credit, he will change his mind when he gets presented with new information, which everybody's entitled to do.
Sure,
but this is why we preach the word patience. This is why you don't give up on something before the project's completed. You know, DMAC has been probably, out of everybody on WoodwardSports.com, DMAC has probably been the most on point because he's had this little clock that he points to, and it's 34 games. He's like, I'm not judging Dan Campbell till after 34 games. So when people are freaking out after 20, he just points to the clock, calm down. Yep. You know, when people are freaking out after 15, just point to the clock, calm down. So when we get to 34 games, 2 full seasons of Dan Campbell, we get to look back. I think we're going to be pretty happy with the progression right now if things continue to trend the way they trend. Now, if it goes the other way and we go 0-8 over the next 8 games, we're going to have a different conversation at that 34 mark.
That's a great point. If he finishes this season 0-8 to end it, he's got to go, I'd say. But I don't see that happening.
No.
I absolutely don't see that happening.
I don't either, and I don't even want to get into that conversation. Yeah. I'd rather have the 8-0 conversation than the 0-8 conversation, but it's just a reality of the situation right now. Things have totally changed around for the Lions in the course of a month.
It's crazy. Yeah, November's been a great month for me and the Lions, man. I'm loving it. So you want to talk about that schedule? We know what we're doing on Thursday.
Yep.
We're eating great food. And we're facing off against the Bills.
Okay.
But after that, we got the Jaguars here at home.
And that may be the return of J-Mo.
Yep, super winnable game. Then we get our revenge against the, what are they now, 8-1 Vikings.
The fraudulent Vikings.
Here in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
Then we head back to New York again, this time for the Jets. I'm telling you, I know I'm crazy, but we could win all 4 of these games. I see us probably going 2-2. But then we go to Carolina, and then we're home against the Bears. Why can't we go 3-3 in that stretch? Why can't we go 4-2 in that stretch? Am I crazy on cornbread? Maybe. Maybe, but optimism's high.
And that's the thing. When you start to believe, it's a dangerous drug, man. When you step onto that field and you think you can beat anybody, then you can really beat anybody. And it's crazy. It's the NFL where, we've seen the Lions only had 2 wins in 1-score games. Well, they made sure this wasn't a 1-score game today, but besides that, I mean, that's the difference. It's such a, Jamal Williams doesn't fumble on the goal line. That's a completely different game.
No doubt. That's a great point.
There's several things that could have swung the Lions' way this year. They didn't. But that's the law of averages. It should swing back the other way, and they should steal a couple games that they maybe weren't meant to win, too. And, water always finds its level. I'm not too worried about it, but it's just interesting to think where they could be without a couple of those early mistakes.
We could flip our record and be 6-4.
Yeah.
And then what? And that means that we probably get the W against the Vikings, which means that they're 7-2, which means actually, let me restate. We are in second place in the NFC North right now. When was the last time you could say that?
Facts.
So if we're 6-4, we get that win. They're 7-2. We're 2 games back with the game to play still against them. I know it's what's and ifs and all that, and it's not real. But when you're talking about just a couple of small plays being changed by a team that's got more confidence and a little bit more experience versus the team that we saw in the first half of this season, that is completely realistic. And that is what I think that we'll see out of this team next season, is those games that, look at this. We lost to the best team in the NFL by 3 points. We lost to the first place Miami Dolphins by 4 points. We lost to first place Seahawks by 3 points. These are all super winnable games against the best teams in the NFL right now. And again, these are all lost in the first half of the season when this team is just still figuring things out. We were hurt. Our offense was hurt. Now we got guys making plays on the defensive side of the ball. We're starting to get healthy. We're starting to get that confidence that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Our coach is starting to not put us behind the 8 ball
That's
in situations.
The thing. It's not a despite Dan Campbell decision. It's because of Dan Campbell decision, which is nice to say. So question for you. Feldman drive of the game. What you got? Which swaggy touchdown, or was it the Aiden Hutchinson interception?
The first touchdown when we went 91 yards.
Yeah.
That set the tone. The 2 of our touchdowns came off of short, red zone starts, basically off of the turnovers. But right when you kind of worried about this game and the Lions come out and go 91 yards, it's like the drive that we had last week to win the game.
Yeah. I got to say the Aiden Hutchinson interception is going to be my drive of the game.
That's a play of the game, baby.
It is the play of the game, but it also led to a touchdown that put the Lions in a lot better position and put them up. To me, that was the turning point of the game. And what it looked like, it rattled Daniel Jones. It looked like it made him question himself because he hadn't thrown many interceptions before that. And then, a couple drives later, Kirby Joseph gets his.
Yep, and that's why you punt.
Yeah.
That's why you punt.
Yeah, put it on them. Make them make a play.
Yep.
That's my whole theory in any sport ever. Keep the pressure on the other team. Make them question what they're doing.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. I'm going to give you an over-under. It's for interceptions for Mr. Hutchinson, and I'm going to put it 2.5. Does he get 3 this year?
Eventually, the NFL is going to realize, hey, we don't want to dump anything over to when you see Hutchinson because he may drop. But the way he's doing it in his hands, I don't know, man. He looks damn good to me.
Could you imagine 10-plus sacks and 3 picks?
I mean, if the season ended today, he had a successful rookie year.
Oh, absolutely.
5.5 sacks, I believe he has, and 2 interceptions. And
he's won 2 games for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for one individual player to impact a team like that immediately, pretty damn good, man.
And
pretty damn
good as much as we expect from those top 5 pick defensive linemen, those expert rushers, you don't normally see double-digit sacks out of him in the first year. You'll see 8.5, whatever, and he's still got a ways to go. But he is absolutely impacting the game right now, even if it's not seen in the stat category. First few games, aside from that 3-sack game, I didn't feel like he was impacting games. That's completely changed now.
Well, you saw him trying to do too much early on. Mm-hmm. I think that was it. He was trying to play everybody's position. Now he's playing his position. He's playing it exceptionally well.
Yeah, and the game, like you said, is slowing down for him.
Yeah, to be able to read defenses like that and offenses like that and be able to drop off and get those interceptions, like the one against Aaron Rodgers, chef's kiss, beautiful. Today, beautiful. Last week, he didn't get the interception, but like you said, if it's not for him dropping back, Justin Fields doesn't really have to arch that ball. He can just throw it on the line, but no, Okudah takes that ball that's just lofting in the air, returns it for 6, and that was the turning point in that game. So every turning point in the last couple games, it's been Aiden Hutchinson at the epicenter of it.
I'm going to throw Braylon a bone here, but it's that Michigan mentality.
Oh, he's a Michigan man.
He is, man, and he's showing his cerebral side of his game. He really has over the last few games, man. And that's what, it's great to have a guy that can just bull rush down after down after down. But when you have a guy that can play on the edge that is as versatile as he's showing, it's a game changer. Now we bookend him with somebody else. I don't think we're in the Will Anderson sweepstakes anymore. But you put somebody.
Why not with the Rams pick?
Hey, wouldn't that be sweet? But yeah, we put another stellar, put the bull rusher on the other side and let him be the cerebral guy. Give him, somebody that they've got to double team. You're going to start seeing Hutchinson absolutely impact every game that he comes out for.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
He already has. I absolutely love it. And shout out to everybody in the woodwardsports.com chat right now. And just a lot of people participating today. It's so awesome to see. A lot of people are saying Sauce Gardner for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and to me, he's the leader right now.
He is right now.
But 2 interceptions by a rookie defensive lineman is pretty much unheard of. So,
and they're not a tipped ball that fell into his hands.
Right.
These are coverage adjustment picks. These were plays that he absolutely made on his own, using not only his physical ability but his cerebral presence on the field. And again, the more the game slows down for him, the more that we add help for him, the more he's going to start to dominate. If he's playing the way he has these last few weeks, man, opposing offenses better be real worried for the rest of the season.
Yeah, some people asking about Jeff Okudah and his injury. He's in concussion protocol. Doubt he's going to be able to clear concussion protocol by Thursday.
That's a quick turnaround.
It will be a quick turnaround, so I would expect him not to play on Thursday.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that could be enough to really prevent us from a win, because somebody's going to have to cover Stephon Diggs, and there pretty much so far hasn't been anybody that's been able to do that.
And, I'll put Kirby Joseph on him.
Hey.
At least we got Kirby Joseph to fall back on. But
hands on hands.
You hate to see that for Okudah, who's really come alive the last couple games, too, and been a big part of the reason that the defense has turned around the way they have.
A true number 1 cornerback.
Yeah, and he's bringing the heat when he delivers those hits. But a lot of times, Okudah's been a part of some friendly fire lately, and that's kind of how he got injured today, too. So you love the intensity, but, man, quit hitting your own damn players.
So what are we going to be doing next Thursday, pal?
So Brass Rail, they do a thing for all their employees, so they're not open on Thanksgiving. So we're going to be here at the studio.
But we're going to be broadcasting.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that game, man. This one's really going to tell all fans in Detroit where this team is at. I'm okay with the loss as long as it's a 3-point loss, like we lost to Philly, like we lost to Miami. If we can show that we can play with the class of the NFL, you got to be real excited for next year and for the finish of this season as well.
I'm excited. I'm excited, man. This is. As a Lions fan, we don't get many of these, and it's just nice. And I don't care. It's one of those things that I'm going to enjoy it. You will not take this away from us.
Yeah. So you guys better spend your Thanksgiving with us. We're spending it with you.
Yeah, you're sitting around with your family anyways. Tune into WoodwardSports.com.
Absolutely.
Pull it up on your phone. Share it with your grandma. She'll love us, I promise. Grandmas and aunties love us. Anson loves the aunties. You got any single aunts with you on Thanksgiving? Let them tune in and let them know about Anson. Thank you guys for being a part of the Lions Postgame Show. We do it starts at the 2-minute warning of every Lions game. The last 3 weeks have been exceptionally fun, and I cannot wait to do it again on Thursday.
Hold on, I can't let you go.
Uh-oh.
I can't let you go yet.
Uh-oh.
I got to hold your ass to the fire again this week.
Oh, you want me to pick today?
I want to pick.
I'll take the Lions 31-28. 31-28. That's what I'm going.
Okay. I'm in.
Yeah, same?
26-24.
26.
Lions.
Ooh, okay. See, I think after what I just saw the Browns put up on the Bills, I think the Lions can put up more. And Ford Field is going to be absolutely effing insane.
It is. It is. It's going to be an environment that is very, very unfriendly for Josh Allen and the Bills. Coming on a short week after they haven't been home. I don't know if they're even going to go home. There's a lot of strange circumstances, and I'll tell you what, it'd be real easy to pick the Bills, but I'd rather pick the Lions and be right on that than be right on the Bills.
Yeah. Well, if you want to sit front row on Thursday, we're giving away a pair of front row tickets right now.
I can't win that.
Yeah, you can't win it. I can't win it either. I was thinking about hacking the contest, but either way, we're sending someone front row on Thursday. Get on your social media. Here's how it is. You just got to tag you and your crew. Thank you guys at WoodwardSports.com chat for being a part of the show today. We love each and every one of you. It's been a lot of fun. I love when they win, so thank you guys very much. Adam Baydoun and Jeff will be live tomorrow from Feldman and Novi. You want to see Adam smoke a hookah? Coming out to Feldman and Novi. It's going to be a good show. We will see you later. See you.
Thanksgiving is all about family and friends. That's why Woodward Sports wants to send you and your crew front row for the Thanksgiving Day football game.
Easy there. Hey, it's Thanksgiving. Shouldn't you be in Detroit losing a football game right now?
That's right, you and 3 people that you're thankful for sitting in row number 1. So close you can hear the action, smell the excitement, and taste the glory of Detroit football. All you have to do to enter is retweet or share our post on Twitter and IG and tag 3 of your friends or family. If all 3 of those people are following Woodward Sports too, and we pick your name, you and your crew will all get the best seats inside Ford Field. So hop on Twitter and Instagram and tag your crew. And we'll see you Thanksgiving Day at Ford Field. Brought to you by Lady Jane's and Custom Health